There's nothing necessarily wrong with the pattern. I was just looking at this with novice eyes.
I've finally finished sewing my first McCalls pattern, version A of M7951, and I'm ready to share with you everything that went wrong during this project. This will be an informative video using my experience to expose the beginner's mindset. Good morning. So I'm pretty sure that I have folded my fabric wrong. I guess it technically isn't wrong since this is a type of fold you can do, but according to the instructions, I had a lot of thoughts I wanted to share with you, and since the previous video was kind of lengthy, I thought I'd spill the tea. Truth is, I had to run to the store more than once. I had to use the seam ripper a lot, and in the end, well, you'll see. I used what I thought was crepe material for this dress. I also felt at one time that I used the wrong side of the fabric. When I looked at the name of the fabric, it said Casa Satin. I thought crepe was a smooth version of cotton, yet still rigid and matte in color. But this yellow material definitely had a satin shine to it. It's in the color Snapdragon if you're interested. How does this work?
You get the color you want, you sew it on the inside of it.
Okay. Oh, all of this is lining. For some reason, I wanted black to be the lining of this dress, but as you can see from the selection, they didn't have any. I felt like since this crepe was a little see-through, black would be a nice barrier. But I'm not even sure what color a lining is supposed to be. Well, what's a good lining for yellow? Or maybe I can choose a different
White.
color. White?
Something that's not gonna show through it. If you get something too dark, it might show through.
Okay.
Looking back, I probably would have chosen a dress color that had a lining to match. But how is one supposed to choose a lining anyway? Before I could get started, I had to clean my sewing machine.
I didn't realize how dirty it was, so that set the clock back a little. How often do you clean yours? When should it be cleaned in? Am I missing any steps?
Oh my lord.
Since my markings for the darts didn't transfer over very well, I just pulled some extra thread and brought it over the fabric to line it up with the end of the dart. This image confused me. As I learned, the pattern only illustrates the first view of the instructions, so I literally pinned the straps to their placement at the top of the bodice and continued to sew on the lining. I realized something was wrong when I tried to turn the bodice inside out. I wish the directions would have stated in words to fold or place the straps in between the bodice and its lining.
But somehow I made it work in the end. It was really hard using this picture as reference. Have you ever interpreted an illustration wrong? What was it, and when did it click for you what the pattern was actually trying to say?
When making the straps longer, I measured from the top of my shoulder diagonally to under my shoulder blade. I found that measurement to be long enough to be adjusted. There ended up being some extra material left over that was useful for this adjustment. I found it easier to cut my fabric to the length I needed it to be and then cut out the angles of the straps.
greatest when they're in a dress?
So I was able to get it pinned nicely, but when it was time to stitch the front and the back together, I promise, I didn't do this on purpose. I found it difficult to guide the curve of this pocket. I'm glad I didn't even have to run out and grab an invisible zipper foot like the directions said. You can really just use the regular zipper foot and iron out the invisible zipper so it lays flat before you stitch it on.
Here's another example of things that don't add up. Maybe I need experience with reading patterns, or maybe it's Maybelline.
So let's take it back to direction number 1. I followed the directions. I cut out the necessary interfacings and fused them together. When I read number 41, it said pin uninterfaced waistband all around, it said pin uninterfaced waistband. So in my opinion, maybe they had both waistbands interfaced for structure. Then we could just choose which one was the uninterfaced. I'm not sure. I guess I overlooked this step when it said to interface only one waistband, but I was 400 meters away from the finish line when I got to this step. I really had to study this first image to get it right. It looks like the bodice goes on the inside of the skirt, so when you turn it inside out, there is a seamless area between the first waistband and the bodice. So just like the straps, the bodice has to be inside of the skirt, upside down. Before I opened the sewing directions, I decided to check the back of the pattern to see if I had all of the materials needed for sewing version A. I did go back and grab a pack of hook and bars, as that's all I thought I was missing. I opened the sewing directions to get an overview of the steps I would be taking, and also to look up the vocabulary words, such as slip stitching and understitching, so I could get a visual of how to do those. When I made it to the end, which was adding the notions, I was expecting to see hook and eyes on the back band and a hook and bar on the waistband. I was pretty disappointed to learn that none of the views of this dress pattern call for hook and eyes. There's nothing necessarily wrong with the pattern, unless you count my frustrations with the directions. I was totally looking at this with novice eyes, but I did come to the realization that back when patterns were invented, everyone knew how to sew, like it was second nature. Therefore, sewing patterns didn't even come with directions. Moving forward, I'm not expecting this pattern to teach me anything. I've learned that it's a tool to aid in our garment creation. Eventually, I should be able to make my own pattern using math and imagination. But until then, I'm just a future master needlewoman.
I do want to make this dress again, but actually take some time to learn more about ease. If you're just beginning sewing this dress in version A, I hope you found it helpful. Don't forget to also share this video with a friend, and also hit that subscribe button. I'm Lydia Ashley, future master needlewoman, and I'll see you at the next project.
Yeah, it's
Really?
got a camera on it.
Oh. Why was it over my head?
Because their owners did that.
Okay, that's fine. I just wish people weren't so rude flying drones above people's heads.
It's on the seat. It's on the seat.
It's on the seat. Do you remember the atelier game? She's like picking flowers and stuff. Are there any flowers here that we can pick?
You tell me, I'm not looking.
Yes, right here.
Okay, actually get out of here.
What's wrong? Is there a snake?
No, it's just... That's not a flower. I know.
Like, we should do a thing where it's like a Taylor desert.
That's all.